Now, after you've watched the video, I've got a few questions for you. Remember how in the Bible story and in the video it says that Jesus' followers had trouble seeing and understanding. Luke, in the book of Luke, says, "Then their eyes were opened and they recognized Jesus." Now, I've got a question for you. Do you ever have trouble seeing things? Does your mom ever ask you or your dad ever ask you to go find something for them? And you say, "I can't find it. I don't see it." Now, don't tell my husband, but sometimes he can't see things right in front of him. I'll say, "Oh, it's right on that shelf." I don't see it. We play games like I Spy to see if we can find something. And we have to really look around hard to find things. And that's a game where you hunt for things. Also, I mailed a nature walk to you that asks you to look for certain things in nature. And this goes along too with the fact that we had Earth Day this week. And another thing you could look for is I've mailed to you a Bible scavenger hunt, so you can look for things in the Bible. Now, what do you do when you can't see very well? Well, when I was a teacher in school, if somebody couldn't see very well, I would move them to the front of the room. Maybe if you can't see very well, your dad says, "Do you need glasses?" That's how I found out I needed glasses. I was at a baseball game one time, and I couldn't read the signs out in the outfield. My mom said, "I think we need to take you to the eye doctor." So, that means you get to go read the eye chart and see just how good those eyes are. So, when we can't see very well, we can get glasses. We can get contacts. Sometimes we even need eye surgery. My son had LASIK surgery. We can do those things to help our eyes see better. But what about when it comes to seeing God? When it comes to seeing Jesus walking along beside us, like the followers were talking about? What do we do when we can't see God very well? Well, one thing we can do is we can read the Bible. That helps us to better understand God and why He sent Jesus and the things that Jesus did to show us how much God loves us. We can go to church. We can pray. We can see people in our lives, like our family and friends, who take care of us, who look out for us, who do good things for us. So we may not realize it, but Jesus is walking beside us every day. We just don't always see Him. We just don't always feel it. Sometimes we feel alone. Maybe we feel lonely right now because we can't see all of our friends. We can't go to the places where we like to go and be around the people we want to see. But Jesus is always there beside us. Sometimes, though, we just can't see Him. There's a poem that some of you may know. It's called "Footprints in the Sand." And I like it especially well because it talks about how Jesus is with us all the time. And there are lots of places online that you can find pictures of the sand and pictures of this poem. It says, "One night a man had a dream. He dreamed he was walking along the beach with the Lord. Across the sky flashed scenes from his life. For each scene he noticed two sets of footprints in the sand, one belonging to him and the other to the Lord. When the last scene of his life flashed before him, he looked back at the footprints in the sand. He noticed that many times along the path of his life there was only one set of footprints. He also noticed that it happened at the very lowest and saddest times in his life. And maybe this is kind of a sad time for you, not such a fun time. This really bothered him, and he questioned the Lord about it. Lord, you said that once I decided to follow you, you'd walk with me all the way. Like the road to Emmaus, when the disciples were feeling Jesus' presence with them. But I have noticed that during the most troublesome times in my life, there's only one set of footprints. I don't understand why, when I needed you most, you would leave me. The Lord replied, My son, my precious child, I love you, and I would never leave you. During your times of trial and suffering, when you see only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. So during this time of pandemic, or any time in your life, pray, and I do too, to open our eyes to see God around us. There are people in our lives right now that are doing things to protect us, to show us kindness and love. And think about all the people on the front lines of the pandemic who are saving people's lives, who are working even though it's dangerous, like the EMTs, or people in the grocery store who are working to make sure that you still have access to food, the farmers who are still working. There are lots of people who are out there working every day to try to make our lives as good as they can be. And people are showing kindness to each other that maybe we weren't showing to each other before the pandemic. So God is still out there, and we have to remember that as we face some difficult times right now and look ahead to what we hope is a bright future. So thanks for listening today, and I hope that you have a good week, and I'll see you next weekend. Take care. Bye.